Here it is. So first we should know how to create a properties file. So as I mentioned, properties class is used to store the data in the properties file, to get the data from the properties file. That is the purpose of properties file and properties class. So in the properties class, we are going to use some of the methods, mainly first all are non-static methods. So you need to create object for the properties class, then object reference dot, the methods you have to call like get property, a method we are going to use to get the property value from the properties file. And then you have a load method to load all the properties into the program. We can use load method. And then we have that's it. And also you have to use for reading the file, you have to use a file input stream or a file reader. So this is the main concept. So we are going to use. Okay. Let's say first you should know how to create a properties file. Yeah, as usual, like same how we'll create a file, right? New, so wherever you want on that package, just right click, new file. So the file name you give, okay, so data dot, the extension should be properties. So that's the extension for properties file. So once you create this, the file will create and you have, so it will be like this, data config data dot properties. I just created a file name as config data dot properties. So in this file, you can store all the global properties that are used in the entire project. So that's the properties you are going to store. Key value format, both key value are string data type. So browser, what is the browser you want to run? Application URL, you give application URL. Whatever the DB properties you can store. So all the DB properties you can store and you can reuse these properties in your test cases. So that is the how you can use these properties class and properties file. Generally configs you want to store, you will use this config dot properties file. So it can be a browser wise config or application wise config. You can create a different properties file also that you can store in the one folder, and that folder, see, let's see how to read. I'll create a class. From that class, I'll try to read these properties. Let's see how to do. You can create a reusable method generally. Okay, you can create a reusable method. So reusable methods, you have to create one reusable method. See that public string read properties file data. So string key throws IO exception, and you just create a object for properties prop equal to new properties, and step 2 is read the properties file. How can you read? So first you give the path, this file path. And how can you get your project path? String current project path equal to system.get property user.dir. So that means current working directory it will fetch that you are storing in this variable, local variable. Okay, so that's the this. So how can you fetch the current working directory? Then you create a file object, file f equal to new file current project path. So that means this one. Then source, then collections, collection programs. See, that's what I'm adding, appending. So this will give you till this path. You don't need hard code. Hard code means you don't need to give your project name automatically. This is the ready-made code. Anywhere you can use this. So you have to remember this code. System.getProperty user.dir will give you current working directory path. Then append. So that then move to your subfolders. Then src, then collection programs, then config data.properties file. I'm giving the file path. So file f equal to new file, that is the complete path. File input stream fs equal to null. Try fs equal to new file input stream. This file path you need to pass. Okay, then so why are you adding try catch block? Wherever files are there, you need to work with the exception handling. Mandatory. When you're dealing with files, so mandatorily you need to use try catch blocks. So then load the properties. Third step, load the properties prop dot. So this object reference dot load method fs. So return prop dot get property key. So that's how you can use this properties file data. Okay. So this is the reusable method. You are going to use same in your framework also to read the any properties file data. So these are steps. Create object for properties class. Read the properties file with this concept. And then load the properties with the load method. And for that, you need to pass this FAS object. Then finally, so read the property value using get property method. Prop dot get property key. So prop dot get property key. So this is the for this method we are giving an input key. So key means these are all the keys. Browser is a key. App URL is a key. So these are all keys. And values will change, but key doesn't change. Key is going to be constant. Only value will change. So that value you can get it. So see that. This is just for our printing purpose. I'm just showing you. Read properties file data. So object reference equal to new read properties file data. So we're getting the browser value. So object reference dot read properties file data. So browser is the key. So what is the browser value here? Firefox. So you'll get a Firefox. So application URL. Here, what is the application URL? HTTP rameshkionline loves2blog.com. So that's another. So you're giving the key. This method will fetch the value for this key. So that means it is returning. So return type method. So we have return, right? See, this is the return type method. String type data, obviously. So DB host, DB port, whatever you want, you can get it. Just right click, run as a Java application. See this? Firefox is the value, DB host, and port. Suppose you modify here in the properties file. You don't need to change anything in the test cases. Only change you will do in one place, that is in the file, properties file. See, automatically we are not changing anything in the, so automatically it is reflecting. So that's the advantage with the properties file. You don't need to modify all the places wherever you are using. So that is the advantage with this properties file. Any questions? Are we good?
In Selenium, way to save the browser data and everything, we have to store in this properties file.
Properties file. Basically, like your application URL, which browser you want to run, and such kind of config properties. And you want to run in the headless mode or not. So globally, you will use globally, right? To entire project level. That properties you can store in the properties file.
Okay.
Username, password, so environment, so environment URL. So it has to, because we have different environments, you need to test. So each environment URL you will give, right? So it's different.
Okay.
So automatically you can get that environment name you give and value it will fetch.
Okay. Is it the same to send the test data? It's a different sending the test data.
Yes, yes. Test data generally we used to send with Excel data, Excel sheet. But this global properties like no browser launching, like no username, password, like which browser you want to run, which mode you want to run, and that things you will put it in this config.properties.
Okay.
Generally, test data you will keep in the Excel sheet. So test data is different. Configuration properties are different. Config properties means like your application URL, so browser names, so global usernames, passwords, so those things.
Okay.
So that you will keep in the properties file. Such kind of things we will store like this. See now application URL, I have given username, password. Like which browser you want to run. Okay. Are we good? Yeah. Last topic. Enums. So what are enums? So see, here's a small topic we are using in the Selenium. That's why I'm explaining this enum concept. So enum is basically a special class where you can store only constants. Okay. You can store constants and you can even write methods also inside the enum. So enum is a special class that represents a group of constants. So like unchangeable variables, all are final variables. Okay, those final variables, if you want to store, you can use enums. In Selenium, you remembered keys. Enum is there. That keys enum, if you want to access keys dot the enum name you will call, right? So that's why these constants, if you want to access, we should be aware of what is enum. So enum is a special class that represents a group of constants, and you can write the methods also. So while defining the enums, the constants should be declared first, prior to any other methods or fields if you want to write. And there are fields methods declared inside the sorry, you can enclose them with a semicolon to separate each one of them. So to create enum, you will use the enum keyword. This is the enum, like you create a class with the class keyword, right? Or interface with interface keyword. Same way, if you want to create a enum with enum keyword, you will create. And so like this, enum name, we have a level, medium, low, medium, high. So these are the level enum constants. Constants, right, you will write all lower capital letters. So like directions, east, west, north, south. So directions dr equal to directions dot north. So how we are accessing enum dot enum constant. That's how we can access so enum constant. See if you want. So if this direction is so east, you can do different logic. You can build the logics, right? So you can build the logics. That's the enums. Okay, so let's see how you can so use these things enum. So even you can write the class inside also enum. Okay, so that is the reason we need to understand this enum steps. So let me show you that one example. See this one, right? Directions. So you can create a public enum name. So all the enum constants are east, west, south, north, right? East, west, south, north. So these are the enum constants. Okay. So directions. So these are the directions. How can you access them? So let's call that enum name dot constant. Enum name dot constant. That's the enum. So you can call like this constant enum name dot constants. This is the even same. In Selenium we have a keys enum. In the keys enum you have all keyboard constants. For example, you want to call shift key. How can you call keys dot shift? If you want to call enter key, keys dot enter. So this is the how you can call enum constants. So that's it. Okay, so that's all about the Java. Let's join back and we'll see Selenium will start it. Okay, any questions on this?